Really well. That microphone is awesome.
Excellent. I can hear you as well.
Yeah, it's like super good actually. That's like I think it's better than mine. How have you been?
Good, good. How are you?
Good, staying busy, trying to get this thing working, off the ground.
Yes, of course. I apologize for the shift in schedule. I got stuck in Washington, D.C.
No worries, no worries. It happens. These kind of things happen. That's why it's important to be flexible.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I was just looking up hair hunch online actually. I was kind of curious about it.
Yeah,
I was checking out your Instagram
that's
page.
us.
Yeah, yeah.
That is absolutely us.
And you know what? I actually talked to my mom. I mentioned before she's a hairstylist,
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
and I told her about the app, and she checked it out. But the thing about my mom, and she also like has clients, like she does it as like freelance style, like she works for
Mm-hmm,
herself,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and she usually mainly works with care homes and um,
Huh.
other clients. Yeah, so she doesn't deal with every single client. What she does is she
Got
talks to
it.
the manager of the care home, and
I
she
see.
when she goes to the care home, she goes there, right? When she goes
Yep.
there, then she has multiple clients, and all the communication essentially happens through the manager of the care home.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Then we're probably not the right solution for her
Yeah,
because I
yeah.
suspect that they do the scheduling and probably have an arrangement for payment processing already.
Yeah, exactly. She kind of does.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was kind of curious. I mean, what kind of clients or what kind of people, what kind of users are your ideal users for this app?
Ideally, it would be so there. It's twofold. We are targeting the hairstylist directly, but also consumers indirectly. We want to build awareness with Hair Honcho with a broad range of anyone who is going to a anyone who's going to a hairstylist or barber. Um, but primarily hairstylists today to be able to say, oh my gosh, I heard of this new app that'll make it easier for the two of us to communicate. And have you heard of Hair Honcho? But largely, we are speaking directly to independent hairstylists who don't work for a large company like Hair Cuttery or Sola Salons is I don't know if you've heard of them, but they are a service that leases space, very small spaces for independent hairstylists, but they come with a whole suite of their own app and scheduling, and they have a concierge on site. So that people who are Sola stylists also would not be our target either because they already have a solution.
Yeah, yeah. And do you have like a rating system on this platform for like rating the barbers and the clients and that sort of stuff?
We don't. We don't. We've talked a lot about being able to provide that type of service. What we have is a find someone near me. So you can pick someone within the closest 10-mile radius or 50-mile or 100-mile if you want. And we've talked about allowing customers to rate their stylist. It gets a little bit hairy in terms of just managing that communication. And right now we're trying to get just broad adoption, get it up off of the ground.
Yeah, yeah, I see what you're saying. But I compare a lot to like Airbnb because
Hmm.
I'm also an Airbnb superhost, and for
Oh,
me
okay.
the review system is the most valuable aspect of the platform. Everything
Sure,
else
sure.
can be done on, other sites like booking.com or whatever.
Yes, yes.
So in my opinion, I think the review system would bring a lot of value to the users.
I think you're right. The place where it starts to get the conversations that we've had with folks in the industry and with the hairstylists themselves are typically these relationships are forged pretty solidly over time, and so our what we're hoping to do is facilitate the interaction between the hairstylist and the customer. The customers sort of already exists for those hairstylists. We're not trying to generate leads for the hairstylist. We're not trying to generate incremental bookings at this point. At this point, we really wanted to take away some of those administrative tasks that they are doing to make it easier for them to focus on being hairstylists.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm trying to look at it from my perspective because my hair's getting kind of long and I need a haircut.
Yes.
So, if I were like to use your app, the most important things for me would be number one, like availability. Like it's not necessarily
Mhm.
the hairstylist that's more important. It's like, are they available when I want to go? Like,
Sure,
I find
sure.
myself with like a few hours of free time. I'm like, all right, cool. I got enough time for a haircut. I want to get a
Yeah.
haircut, you know? Um, so for me, it's like availability, and
Hmm.
then credibility. I want to know that my hairstylist understands how to cut hair, like men's hair, like how I like it,
Yeah.
you know? I've been to hairstylists before and they totally ruined my hair.
Oh no, oh no.
Yep, exactly. So for me, it would be like availability
Yeah,
and credibility. So
sure.
it's not necessarily like I don't necessarily think it's too important for me to use the same hairstylist. And
Hmm.
I actually like going to different hairstylists because, they it's like an art form, so they kind of put their own touch
Sure.
on the
Yeah.
hair, you know?
Yes. Yeah, that makes sense.
So I'd be the kind of person that would be willing to like jump around from different stylists and that sort of thing.
Hmm.
So that's kind of my perspective on it. When you go to find or when you go to cut your hair, do you usually go to the same hairstylist?
Yes, for 10 years.
Oh my God.
Yeah, many women are pretty because it's uh it's so prominent, and it's hard to find someone not only that can cut your hair in the same way that you like and but sort of understands because it's as you said it's art form, it's not a precise science. So I can say, just a little bit off the bangs, and that means something very different for me than someone else. And so I know that when I tell her a little bit off the bangs, she knows that that's about 3/4 of an inch.
Yeah, yeah. Everyone kind of has their own kind of description. So,
Yeah.
so what are your goals in regards to like generally, not specifically, I guess maybe it could also
Okay.
include hair honcho, but in general to
No,
like
yeah.
online entrepreneurship. What are your goals for that?
My goals are, I think I mentioned to you on in our first conversation that I am also in the early stages of also working on a wine content site. And so for
Yeah.
me, when I think about the things that are my core competencies, the things that I'm most excited about in online entrepreneurship, it's about being able to really distribute content in a meaningful way and grow audiences who are attracted to that content. So, trying to get there or Honcho, writing lots of articles and trying to build. And with Hair Honcho, it's more than just content. There's an actual app, and we want some people to go do something. So there's also lead generation activities, true customer acquisition. But I think the place where the happy place for me is really surrounds content.
So you want to make content.
Yes,
Yeah, producing content is like the king. Content is king for online businesses
it is.
from
It
what I've
is.
seen. So you want to make content. Do you want to make content for both hair honcho and this wine business?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, the hair thing would be pretty easy to do. I see you already have a Instagram page and you
Yes.
have like different kind of hair stylists and stuff. You have a nice
Yeah, and if
format.
you go to, I see you have the website up as well. If you go over to the website, and scroll to the bottom, our blog content there, I am super proud.
Is it this
you can
stuff?
see, yep, all of that. Those are all of we post. So I create an article twice a month and just helpful tips for hairstylists as well as some consumer facing content, but most of it is about helping the hairstylists build up their clientele.
Yeah, 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 definitely. Yeah, I don't know why I keep thinking keep comparing it to like Airbnb. It's like the hairstylist app, the Airbnb for hairstylists. That's what I keep thinking of.
Yeah, yeah. It's a little bit different because, again, we're not really trying to help you go find a stylist. We're here to facilitate the conversation with the stylist.
I see, I see. And do the hairstylists have like a profile with like pictures of hair that, they've worked on before and that sort of stuff?
They do. They do. They have a they have a profile and then there is a gallery. And unfortunately, and the gallery is great because it can populate directly to their website or to Instagram. A lot of our stylists don't really use the gallery. So sadly, it's an
Ooh,
underutilized functionality. Most people use the gallery to talk to their customers about a specific appointment, but not broadly about the services that they offer. And I think it's a miss for the hairstylist because I might not know that I want a purple streak in my hair until I see it in my hairstylist gallery.
yeah, yeah, I see what you're saying. Especially if that's like their thing, you know?
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
But apart from my mom, I actually do know a bunch, like a good number of other hairstylists because in college I was in like a
Uh huh.
fraternity, and um, we have a few members that cut hair and that sort of
Oh,
stuff.
okay.
And
Hmm.
one of them
Interesting.
actually, I also do photography, and one of them I decided to do a photo shoot with her and some of her clients so she can
Uh
help
huh.
promote her business.
Oh, sure.
And
Interesting.
yeah, I
You
think
kind of do a little bit of everything, right?
I do. Yeah, that's the that's kind of the idea.
Yep.
Um, because if you check out like the idea is to transfer my audience from one platform to another.
Sure. Sure.
So like all these different things. Um,
Yeah.
I don't
Yep.
remember that girl's name, but she her name's Taylor. Let me see if I can find her. But I'm not logged into my personal account, so
Oh, okay.
that's not gonna show up. But I
Yeah.
think for
Yeah.
you, your best opportunity would be to build more content on Instagram and to collaborate with um other hairstylists and people in the
Sure.
industry. Have
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
you like collaborated with any other hairstylists and that sort of
Mm-hmm.
stuff?
Mm-hmm. We have we in gosh, I guess the end of September, early. So it was the October issue of Modern Stylist, which is one of the industry trade magazines, or Modern Salon. Sorry, I reached out to a hairstylist who specializes in balayage and doing ombre hair, so different color. She's a colorist and she's a specialist in colors, and so I interviewed her for my blog and asked for some helpful tips and tricks. And Modern Salon saw it online and picked it up, and they published it in their online edition for October, which was super exciting. And it's the
Nice.
second time. The first time I did some collaboration with I did probably too many, so I did a back to school article in late August, and I had 5 different hairstylists with different who specialized in different things. So for African American children, people often do braided hairstyles because it's easier and they can get the kids out the door. So I had a stylist who was specializing in that. I had a stylist who was a specialist in children who can't sit still, and she's like a kid hairstylist. That's what her salon does. So I had all of these different stylist, and I'll admit that as I was pulling the article together, felt like it was a bit disjointed.
Yeah, yeah,
And yeah, it read that way.
yeah, I see what you're saying.
But you learn.
Yeah, exactly. See, the only thing I would be hesitant about this app is like there's a lot of buttons and it's the interface kind of seems to be a little overwhelming.
Really? Okay.
Because if I take a first glance, I'm gonna be like, oh my God, so many buttons, so many things.
Sure.
Hold on.
Okay, so you would simplify it.
Yeah, at least like the main page, simplify it as much as possible, and have
Hmm.
have like one or two buttons or maybe three maximum on what kind of actions they can take, like what kind of things they can do, and then
Sure.
have like other tabs or something like that, so that they
Right,
can
right.
access the other features.
Yeah, this feedback is great. It is perfect timing because we're working on the user interface for a January version. This is actually V2, so we're working on a V3 to launch in January.
Mm-hmm. So what do you think are like the top three most important functions of the app? Maybe think about doing those three on like
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
main screen. What are the top three
Sure.
functions?
It's scheduling appointments, processing payments, and those are really the top two. It's people use the app for scheduling and payments.
Mm-hmm. Payments won't necessarily need to be on the main screen because that's something that's a function that's like integrated,
Sure.
so they don't really need to take action on that. So scheduling definitely, you could have like a big button, schedule a haircut.
Right, right. And so I guess the other is being able to easily look up clients. So we have the a database of your clients. So being able to, even if you're not ready to schedule, you just want to look up a client because, she called and she had a question or something. So I'd say being able to look up clients and then easily scheduling are kind of the top things.
Yeah, that's true. So like right now, if I wanted to get a haircut and I download your app, first thing
Hmm.
I would want to see is be like, okay, well, are there any hairstylists in my area that are free in
Hmm.
this time range, and which ones are the best
Sure.
in my selected time ranges and stuff. So maybe what you can do is have like a schedule, um, a meeting, no, a
Appointment.
appointment.
Yeah. And so in this sense it is more like Uber because there's the stylist app and the client app. So you in that scenario you'd be looking at the client app, which it allows you to find a stylist, it allows you to schedule an appointment, it allows and it has a gallery.
Oh, that's another point, exactly. So you have different functionality based on the type of user. So you have
Yes.
the
Yes.
barber and then the client. So from the barber's perspective, I don't think it needs to be that simple because they're going to be more invested in the application. But for a client, it's got
Mhm.
to be as simple as possible
Absolutely.
to remove like
Absolutely.
any barrier, right? So when I see that button, like schedule an appointment, the next thing would be
Yep.
like maybe, show a list of barbers. Barbers? How do you spell barbers?
ER.
I just woke up from a nap, so long day, and I needed a little bit, just a little pick me up.
Yep.
Show a list of barbers, and then maybe um like checkout or like confirm appointment or something like that.
Sure. Yep.
I recommend taking a look at like the Airbnb flow. It's a little different because you're renting accommodation, but um, simplifying it as
Mhm.
much as
Mhm.
possible, I think, would be the best.
Sure.
Cool. All right. So, how do you, by the way, how do you convince people to download the app?
Um, right now we're trying a lot of different things. So I've had a paid search campaign going on using Google Ads. I am using some social media, so boosting posts and social media when they're relevant. Absolutely. I have a CRM campaign that is wrapping up quite soon, and so done a bit of just kind of a cold drip campaign for independent hairstylists. So we'll see what the outcome of that is,
Mm-hmm.
and doing some speaking engagements, have spoken in local shows that are broader than just hair, so not specifically at a hair show. So some events, and plan to do more events in 2020 that are more dedicated to hairstylists.
Mm-hmm.
And those are really the the biggest buckets of what we're doing. I have a road show where we
Yeah.
go around to, so we do a little bit of an ambush of local hair salons, and we pass out water bottles and T-shirts and window clings to local hairstylists. But that's just, it's more, again, content. It's more fun to
Mm-hmm.
put more content into social media.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Um, the thing is though, another thing I noticed is because like you need to have the both the barber and the client on the app.
Yeah.
Are you focusing on like specific cities at first, or are you kind of like doing it all throughout the states?
So because we've gotten some pretty great PR across the states, we're not limiting it to specific cities. From a marketing targeting perspective, I am focused on Chicago, Dallas, Atlanta, and so I am focused on specific cities in terms of my targeting. However, the app is available to use throughout the states, and we wouldn't want to limit it because we are getting pickup in national publications.
Yeah,
We're in a couple of tech guides, that sort of thing.
yeah, yeah. And I think it's good that you're focusing on specific cities because once it picks up in one city, then you have like a reliable source of clients, and you can
Yep.
use that to kind of catapult the rest of the acquisition in other cities and that sort of stuff. And
Yeah, and it really helps for from a test and learn perspective. I can really hone in on what's working and what's not working, and then move to the next city and only focus on the things that worked well, to spend more efficiently.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. And that's another reason why I also like Instagram because they have like the
Hmm.
location tags and that sort of stuff. So that definitely helps a lot. Um, so I was gonna talk about some of the stuff in this agenda, but
Okay.
but I can tell that you already understand how to use Google Calendar, Google
Yeah.
Docs, and Zoom, and all that sort of stuff. But what I really want to talk about is like the the platforms that you're working on, like Hair Honcho and the wine thing. And
Okay.
I want to see I want like I want to see how I can take what I know and help you grow these businesses, right?
Okay.
So, have you like what do you offer these barbers and the clients to make them to entice them to use it?
So from a barber hairstylist perspective, we it's the ease and the convenience of taking away, because a lot of hairstylists are still doing paper calendars and doing things via text messages and not being able to track them easily. So what we offer is a mechanism for them to not have to worry about tracking appointments and tracking payments. We put it all into one system, and it is relatively easy for them to be able to get organized and just focus on the art of doing hair. And it is a free app as opposed to Style Seat, which is the largest in the space. They charge not only do they charge a portion of your payment processing, so 2% of payment processing, but they also charge a monthly fee to use their app.
Interesting. And so, how do you make money on with this app?
We have a partnership with a payment processing firm. So we do also charge a percentage of the processing. However, we don't charge a every time you use monthly fee.
Yeah, okay, I see what you're saying. Um, so the main benefit is like streamline logistics.
Yes, yes.
But my question is, if someone is using like a paper calendar and that sort of stuff, like my mom does, and someone is not very tech savvy,
Mhm.
why would they start using the phone if they don't prefer to use technology too much?
Because the time that it takes to maintain that paper calendar, and then when you think about the reconciliation during tax time, it is really a lot of heavy lifting. So what we want to offer is the ease. And so for someone who is open to starting to use technology, this is the app. If someone is not always going to be a paper person, always going to be a cash person, we're not the right fit. But for someone who has an openness for trying to make their life a little bit easier, this is we give you more time back in the day.
Yeah, it makes sense. It lets them focus on what they're doing best, and that's
Yes,
cutting hair.
yes, exactly.
Um, so maybe people that use a paper, like a paper agenda and whatnot, might not be the best people to market to. I think, in my opinion, you should market to people who are already kind of inclined to use technology. So
Hmm.
where
Hmm.
where do you think you would find those type of people?
Well, we are what we do with a lot of. So, my targeting for my paid search is targeting other apps like StyleSeat and Modsy, and my messaging in those. So, my keywords are really the free aspect of our app because they are using a competitive app and they're paying, and our interface is very similar. It's very similar to the competitors that are out there. So we can give you the same thing without having to pay a monthly fee.
So you look at your competitors and try to um, get in contact with those clients, or
Correct. Yeah, via paid search. We are targeting those their people who are searching for those apps. So we can hopefully stop them before they download the competitive app and give them an alternative.
yeah. And for the payments, it's through credit card, right?
That's correct.
That makes it really easy.
Hmm. It does.
Cool.
We are starting to test in just a couple of salons. We're starting to test also doing like peer to peer payments. So we're testing Venmo, we're testing Apple Pay, and Samsung Pay.
Yeah, Venmo's great, but I'm in Europe and people don't use that. It's not available here, so it's a pain.
Oh, okay,
So if you want to expand internationally, you're gonna have that as an issue.
sure.
Which, by the way, what were some of the biggest issues, or what are some of the biggest issues you've run into with this app?
It really is. There is a because even though Uber has a really established model of a an app for the driver and an app for the user, we have to do a fair amount of education on ensuring that the stylist is downloading the stylist app and not the client app. So in our first month, I'd say 90% of our customer service calls were stylists who had downloaded the client app and couldn't figure out how to make it work. And so we've done some things to clarify it, make it very clear in the app stores which one is which, but still there's more. We're doing actually, I'm shooting a stop motion video in a couple of weeks to just try to hammer home a little bit of how to use, and hopefully that will also help to engage folks in how to use both sides of the app.
Have you thought about doing maybe just one app with the ability to switch from barber to client? Like, let me show you on Airbnb. So on Airbnb, there's an option
Hmm.
here where you can switch to
I'm a
traveling.
host. I'm familiar.
Perfect. All right, so you know what I'm
Yeah.
talking about. You can easily
Yeah.
just switch. Maybe that would be a little simpler for your clients, right?
Yeah, we've talked about it a lot. The concern that we have is we want to make this as easy as possible for the client side, for the customer, and we right now the way that it would take, it's something that we're considering. It's probably not V3 for us, but we're considering it
Mm-hmm.
because we want to keep it super simple for the client.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm sure you've heard this term before. KISS, keep it simple, stupid.
Yep, absolutely.
It works. It really does. It's like, it's magical.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, Instagram, you could really use a lot of marketing on Instagram. What about
Hmm.
Facebook? Do you have a Facebook page for this?
Yep, we do. We do. And so I do Facebook marketing as well. Most of my boosted posts actually are more Facebook than Instagram. Um, And we have some of those partnerships that we've done where we go out and we sort of ambush hair salons. It's great because most of them have Facebook presence, and so it's really easy for them to connect and link back to us. So it's fun. It's a lot of fun in our Facebook marketing.
Nice, nice. Yeah, you have 250 likes. Not bad.
Still growing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yep.
I feel like I recognize that girl on the left.
Oh, really?
Or maybe she just looks similar.
That's funny.
Anyway,
Yeah.
um, what about like referrals and that sort of stuff? Because Airbnb has a system where you can refer other hosts, and
Hmm. Hmm.
you get like a commission if they start hosting people.
Sure.
What about barbers referring other barbers to use the app?
Yeah, we absolutely encourage it as a part of our email marketing campaigns. We don't offer an incentive for referrals, just from a financial standpoint. It's not a part of our business model, but we do encourage it, and we kind of always are when we're out and doing events and speaking. It's something that we even if you are a solo salon, we recommend that you tell your friends that sort of thing because hairstylists know other hairstylists.
Yeah, exactly. And hairstylists are like the biggest networkers, you know, because
Oh my gosh, yeah, they have to be, right?
yeah, like if I want to know what's happening in the community, I ask my mom, right?
Yes.
But I really think you should give them a like an incentive, like maybe I don't know, something small, something in some way, shape, or form, because I think that would really help. Like, you know, if I was a
Hmm.
hairstylist I really enjoy using your app, and I, you know, meet another hairstylist and they say, "How do I get my clients as a freelance
Yeah.
hairstylist?" Be like, "Well, let me tell you, and let me give, and I will get a commission off this, you know?"
Right, right.
That's what happens with me when people come to me and ask me like, how do I get clients and for my short-term rental? There's a lot of people here in the city that also do the same. I'm like, "Oh, I use
Mm,
Airbnb. You want to be a host? Here, let me send you the link."
yeah.
And I've done that several times before, so it works. Sorry, I think um my mouse is spazzing out again.
Oh no.
I needed to get this fixed. Cool, cool, cool. So, what about your wine website? What is it called again?
Sure. It is not up, but so it's
Oh,
you won't find it. Still in the formative stages. It's called In Wine Site, and what
like that?
In Wine Site, correct? Um, and so the hope for what I what I sorry, no, it's IGHT. So
Oh,
wines.
site,
So
like,
like
yeah.
yeah, so in wine site, like in hindsight.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That can be a little confusing. Notice how I typed in the other site?
The other site. Yes, yes.
So,
Huh.
if I made that mistake,
Interesting.
other people might make the same mistake.
Yeah, it's true. I hadn't thought about the ITE as a way to spell it. Huh. Interesting. Um, the vision for In Wineside is to be able to provide people who are wine novices, but have an interest in trying different wines and want to understand just an introductory understanding of wine food pairings for wines that are lesser known, small batches, and don't have the same sort of broad marketing spend and don't have as much content in the just out there in the ether. So being able to provide those vineyards with the opportunity to showcase their best grapes, as well as providing novice wine shoppers with some suggestions that are off the beaten path.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think a lot, like a good source, I guess. the people that you should be talking to would be like wine sommeliers.
Yes, 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 I am. I've made some connections with some sommeliers as well as there are, believe it or not, in this world of big box everything, there's some really passionate, great, independent wine shops that exist. And I actually connected with one. I was just in Washington, D.C. for the weekend, and I found this wine shop online, and they specialize in doing like specialty wines, not the big, broad distribution. I connected with them via email and they said, yes, when you're here, come talk to us. And so I have 7 questions that I ask everyone who is a wine expert, the 7 questions that I want to publish and provide as a part of my content. And so I went in, I talked to them. And it's really, again, it's for because I am a wine novice. I love it, but I'm a wine novice. And every time I travel, I make sure that I am learning more and more. And so the site is for people who want to learn more. I am not an expert, but I know how to getting experts to talk, and that's what I want to bring to the readers of ultimately the readers of the blog that will be created.
Mm-hmm.
The so the V1 is so I'm sorry, phase 1 is all about content. In my second phase, my objective is to then be able to provide you with a monthly subscription of wines that so I built what I'm doing now is building the relationships with the vineyards, building relationships with educators, sommeliers, and wine shops. And then in the second phase, provide a subscription service that focuses again on these not broadly distributed, very small batch vineyards with a card that helps navigate how to pair those wines with food. And so that's my sort of second phase of what this would evolve into. And then in call it 15, 20 years in Winesight is a huge success. I'd love to have physical locations that are small wine, sh- just small wine bars that pair well with tapas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you could probably collaborate with current wine bars and that sort of stuff
Yeah.
before
Yes.
before you reach that point, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, way down the road, a brick and mortar wine bar type of opportunity. The monthly subscription of wine, I'm hoping by the holiday season of 2020. So October of 2020 is when I would hope to have subscription boxes available.
Interesting.
So spend most of the next year building a following, building out the content.
Yeah, yeah. I'm looking at this from my perspective, and I kind of travel frequently, so a monthly
Uh-huh.
subscription would of like any physical product would not be that good for me. So
Yeah.
I don't think I would be one of your potential clients. So maybe you should be a little wary about that monthly subscription thing, because I have heard of other monthly subscription type of things, right?
Yes, 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 yes. And there are more than 20 wine monthly subscriptions. So I'm not revolutionizing. This isn't a revolution for the wine industry. The difference here is I am focusing on small batch vineyards and partnerships who with vineyards who wouldn't normally be top of mind for the folks who are building out these subscription platforms.
Cool, cool. Very cool. So you're already doing two things. That's awesome. Especially like the Hair Honcho app.
Yeah.
I think that's actually a great idea and it's actually really useful. That's probably what I'm most curious about, you know?
Hmm, hmm.
And like I want to help you. And I think the way I can help you best is through helping you grow on Instagram. I've
Yes.
been doing a lot of work on Instagram and I'm pretty familiar with the platform and how to market and stuff like that because of my experience in photography
Hmm,
and
hmm.
other stuff. Have you thought about finding someone to handle that for you?
Um, we we yes. So I've received a two. Kind of three. So I've received two pitches for folks who are Instagram specialists, and a third who wanted to do kind of a broader campaign for us. And at this point in our growth stage, we won't we won't have someone dedicated to that, but over time, it's the right thing to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so a few things that I think you should do is first of all you should raise your follower count. And
Hmm.
to
Hmm.
do that, um, there's like a million sites online where you can just pay and you'll get like a lot of followers.
Sure.
They won't be like relevant or anything like that. They won't be
Hmm.
like good good followers, and you won't get a lot of interaction from them. But just boosting this number a little bit initially would be good. I recommend getting it above 1,000 through those paid
Hmm.
paid services.
Hmm. Hmm.
Once you get past 1,000, then you can take it to the next step, and you can start reaching out to barbers or other relevant
Right.
relevant users, and maybe collaborating by sharing content at least, or
Hmm. Hmm.
offering them an incentive to use the app.
Right.
What city do you think you have the most users for this app?
Um, Probably Milwaukee and Chicago.
Do you have like a solid number?
I don't off the top of my head, but I'd say because I am located in Chicago, my co-founders are in an area of Wisconsin. So when we go out and do the ambush of hair salons, it's in those cities. So
Mm-hmm. I see what you're saying. Yeah, because I'm curious because if I was a barber and I was going to invest time in downloading the app, I want to know that I'm going to get clients from this, right?
So we're not, again, that's not our pitch. Our pitch is streamlining your logistics. So for the clients, for the book of business that you already have, we are here to help manage that and make it easier.
Mm-hmm. I have an idea. Well, if you start, signing up barbers and having them make
Hmm.
accounts, you
Hmm.
could you can have you can make posts on your Instagram like featuring the barbers that are on the
Mm,
platform.
yeah, that's actually a really good idea.
If you feature their account, you can tag their
Yeah.
account in it,
Yep. Yep.
and you're gonna increase their
That's a great
exposure.
idea. Yeah, that is a really good idea. We haven't done that.
Feature barbers on your Instagram, right? You could be
Yep.
like, here's one of our best barbers. Check
Hmm.
out
Hmm.
check out how they cut their hair and schedule an appointment using this app. And if you post something on your feed, then they can go to it and then they can share it on their story.
Right. Right.
And
Yeah.
that's a really easy low commitment type of way for you to spread awareness because all of their followers are going to see that and maybe you'll find more users for your account through that.
Hmm. Hmm. You're absolutely right. That's a great idea.
Cool, so you're going to do that?
Yeah.
Great. Cool. So I'm curious about like the whole journey about how you kind of went from zero to having the app created and everything.
Hmm. Hmm.
How would you describe that to someone that has no experience?
So the very going from zero, the very first thing was identifying the need. One of the person who's responsible for the user interface, his wife is a hairstylist, and the need came about as she was frustrated with trying to juggle all of the different ways that she was managing appointments and keeping her receipts intact and trying to communicate with clients. So we had a real live hairstylist who said, I can't do all of these things. But I also don't want to pay $20 a month to manage this because I'm a small business and that's not something that feels like it's worthwhile for me. Is there a way that this could be made free and I can offer a percentage of it's basically pay for performance. I can give you a percentage if it works for me. If payment processing is easy and I am able to use this, can we make it work? And so started with that insight, that need, and started to work on what would be the different areas for this app. What are the different places that the app could help solve problems that a typical hairstylist has, and identified kind of those top problem areas as being managing clients, being able to schedule clients, and that payment processing that I mentioned. So started to build out the user interface, and from a brand perspective, I was most concerned about the look, the feel, the naming. So someone else was very focused on how to navigate through the app, how to make sure that the user interface was really clear, and I was focused on a distinctive name that would stand out. And there's a lot in this space for scheduling makeup artists and hairstylists. There's a lot of glam.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
there's Glam Stand, Glam App, Glam Squad. And so, how do we stand out in a way that really shares what we wanted to do? And so, Honcho is someone who's a boss. I am my own boss, and so that's how we kind of got to naming and wanted something that would be really disruptive in terms of color and iconography. So that's how we sort of landed on look and feel,
Mm-hmm.
and then just started beta testing with local hairstylists who were friends of the first user, and made adjustments to the app based on feedback from those beta tests. And when we went live, produced a press release and reached out to every trade publication and every tech guide, and started to get some traction in being published in trade publications and listed on a couple of tech guides. Started to work on our SEO strategy, making sure that we were getting the right search terms in place. So, trying to ensure that we had content that was meaningful and would be broad enough, but also have the right specific terms. So that's really where how the app started.
Cool. So first you identified the need,
Yep.
and then you made like a proper identity for, the app. Then you
Mm-hmm.
made some
Mm-hmm.
testing. Then you did some
Yep.
testing, implemented
Yep.
some changes, and then you did some marketing.
Yes. Those are kind of the key steps.
So after that, what do you think you should be doing next?
It's building up the we need more. It's building up awareness. So we need more people to be aware of the app, its functionality, its distinction from competitive apps.
More awareness, right?
That's it. That's the key.
Hmm. More awareness. Yeah. That's pretty
Yeah.
much marketing, right?
That's everything. That's all we do. How do we gain more awareness?
You know what? Actually, another thought just came to me. So, um,
Yeah.
the thing where I said feature your barbers on Instagram,
Hmm.
maybe
Hmm.
maybe you could implement a feature in the app where, um, like after a barber cuts the hair, they could take a
Sure.
picture of, their
Uh-huh.
their artwork, their masterpiece,
Hmm.
and they could
Yes.
post it onto the app, which will automatically post it also on their Instagram account.
Yeah, that is our gallery feature. So that is there. That's the when I was saying earlier that it's an underutilized part of the app. It exists, and just not enough of our users are taking advantage of that functionality.
Interesting.
It'll post automatically to their Instagram, Facebook, and their web. We have it's coded that we can post it to their website if they would like that.
So why do you think people don't use that functionality?
I honestly don't have a good sense of why they don't.
Hmm.
We have, it's a tip that we've offered in the newsletter a couple of times. It's something that we probe a bit when folks call in with concerns. We remind them that don't forget that the gallery functionality is there to help you build out your business. And I honestly think that a lot of it has to do with these folks are moving so quickly and they're very focused on I need to do this many appointments in a day that they don't take a step back to think about building the business in a broader sense and really building their awareness because
Yeah,
that's what it
yeah.
is, like showcasing your work, making sure people know what great work you're doing. That's building your awareness.
Yeah, and the more like authority that they have, the more that they're going to be able to charge for their services.
Exactly, exactly.
So they could be making more money potentially.
Yeah, yeah.
I also just remembered the name for that hairstylist of mine. Let me see. Let me find
You
let me
said her
find
name
her.
was Taylor.
Yeah, but her
Oh, got
her
it.
hairstylist account is called Color Me Crazy or something. Let me see. Color Me Crazy? Maybe that's how it's spelled. Yeah.
Ah, yes, Taylor.
So all she does is post pictures of her hair and stuff,
Mm-hmm,
right?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So this would be a
Which is great. Like that's exactly what I would think you want to do as a stylist. You want to showcase so people can say, "Oh yeah, I love those waves," or "Oh, that color is great. How do I get color like that?"
yeah, yeah, yeah. So highly recommend you talk to people like this
Mm-hmm,
because she
mm-hmm.
has a separate account for her, personal account, but this is
Sure,
her
of
hair
course, of
account.
course. Yes,
And which is great because when people separate their personal account with their professional accounts, then it's easier for them to collaborate.
exactly. Yes.
So look, now she's saying now booking in Phoenix, so she's actively looking for new clients.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Well, and Colorado, I guess.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
so
a flight.
there's a potential client for you. Too,
Yes,
too,
thank you for that.
too bad you're not in Phoenix though.
But the app is available everywhere. So, and when I reach out to someone like that, it's really more about collaboration and asking they if there are things like there might be something on her page that is relevant to content that I am posting. So just can I share an image that I found on your page and tag you? And again, it's all about building out that awareness. So I tag her, all of her followers see that she was tagged on something called Here Honcho. What's that? And they go looking. And that's really the way that I've been hoping to organically build up the Instagram following. It's not working as quickly as I would hope, but yeah.
Yeah, so what I recommend, like organic growth is the best because you get relevant followers, but you need to
Yep.
you need to like boost it just a little bit at the beginning because that little boost that you're gonna give if you get above 1,000 users, it's gonna give you authority and people are gonna be more likely to follow you if they see that number is not,
Mm-hmm.
100 or something.
Yeah.
But what about people who already have their logistics nailed down? What they're probably gonna be looking for is more clients. Do you think this app would be good for those kind of people?
It really, if you already have if you're happy, if you're as I said, there are people who are using sites like StyleSeed and Modsy, and you're happy with your logistics. Our primary focus is to help people, and there are so many people who are not happy with their logistics and who
Mm-hmm.
need help there. That's our focus.
Yeah. Yeah, I see what you're saying. But okay. I just keep thinking to like, if barbers are already kind of working on this sort of stuff, they would have to kind of change their approach to managing their clients. So
Hmm, hmm.
that's gonna be a little bit of a barrier to entry for you.
Sure, a bit of change management is needed. If you are doing something, if you're willing to shift from what you're doing. So there again, there has to be that openness. Like we really want people who are looking for a solution, and we've done a number of just kind of survey monkeys talking to people about functionality. Like,
Mm-hmm.
when we come up with the functionality, we did it based on true client feedback. And what we heard is there are a lot of people who are pulling their hair out because they're spending 1 or 2 hours a day really trying to get their hands around these things and then forget about tax time because now they have to reconcile everything and
Yeah.
they've not done a good job of keeping their records. And so then they take time away from work, and they have to block off time to pull all of these things together. So
Mm-hmm.
what we're hoping to sell is so yes, there's a little bit of change up front, but long term, this will make everything easier and give you more time back to do your work.
Yeah, yeah. And speaking of like the SurveyMonkey, you said like user interface testing and stuff. Have you
Mhm.
tried using, there's different websites out there where you can like crowdsource that type of testing, and
Oh.
it's specifically just for user interface testing.
Oh, okay. No, no, we haven't.
It's very interesting. I've done it before. I don't remember what it's called, but there is a site somewhere out there. I forget what it's called. I can't remember it right now. If I remember, I'll message it to you later. But
Please, please do. I'll do some Google searching and look for it.
yeah, so that's what I used. I forget what it's called, but I'm gonna find it for you. Um, I used this to test out a user interface for an app I was making for my final project in my in like a college course I was taking on user interface design and stuff like that. And
Sure.
it's really useful. It shows you like a heat map of where users touch the screen and
Oh my
where
gosh,
they.
that's great.
Yeah, yeah, I highly recommend using it. Once I tell you what it is. Yeah, cool. So, we still have only a few minutes left. Any like anything in specific that you want to talk about before we part ways?
No, no, I think that yeah, I guess we've talked a bit about content creation, and I think where we netted out there is the best the best plan would be for me to try to create a sample deck and then send that over, and you can take a look and say, "Oh, that's this level or how here's how I would tighten it up."
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's from my perspective, that's kind of my next step.
And my next step is going to be finding that site for you. It was super useful for me, and I used like the screenshots from that in my final
Mhm.
paper as well.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm gonna find that for you. It's like on my to-do list now. Cool. So overall, what did you think about like this whole entire meeting process and this type of thing that I'm trying to do? Like, do you think it provided you value? And
Yes, absolutely. It absolutely does. It's always great to hear different perspectives and get I mean, we're in early phases, so everything is still a bit of test and learn. So a fresh set of eyes on the app is amazing because there are things like you said, gosh, this feels very complicated. And it's to me, it seems super intuitive. So being able to
yeah.
just kind of pressure test that and make sure that the every set of eyes has a positive experience is very like really important. And then just brainstorming ideas with other people who are using social media to build out their businesses. There's always a new idea that can be implemented immediately.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Oh, another idea that just came to mind. What about making like ambassadors, like micro influencers on social media,
Oh yeah.
ambassadors to
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
and encourage, like tell them to or get them to have users sign up for the site and maybe
Mm-hmm.
compensate them in some way. I don't know.
Sure. No, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Why isn't it working? Technology doesn't always work. All right, Kina. Well, I do appreciate your time. Thank you so much for
Thank you for your time, Johnny.
yeah, yeah. And if we find another opportunity to collaborate in the future, if you just want to have like another um just another episode of this type of thing online, I'm
Yeah,
I'm willing to, just do another one.
excellent. Thank you.
All right. Well, good luck with your projects. I wish you the best of success, and if I can help you in any other way, let me know.
Okay. And then for in terms of next steps on building out the lessons,
Yeah, so I showed you how to make the lessons in the previous meeting, right?
yes, you did. And so to get started, that is the next step, right?
Exactly.
For
And
me to build to share some content and then we go from there.
yeah, do you feel like you need more instruction on how to make the lessons?
No, no, I don't need more instruction there. I just wanted to make sure that we're clear on that's the next step.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, if you have more
Okay.
questions, like this is a learning process for me as well. So if you have more
Yep.
questions on that, do not hesitate to message me and I will be there to help
Okay.
you.
Excellent. Thanks, Johnny. Have
All
a
right.
great day.
You too.
Bye bye.
Bye.